everybody. Welcome back to Let's Talk Movies. This is episode number 7. We are your hosts. I'm Brad.
I'm Miguel.
And today is a really special episode. I've been waiting for probably the entire time that we've been doing this show. I've wanted to do this episode. Miguel, how the hell are you?
I am tired as hell, but I'm ready for this.
You've been working out a whole lot, though.
I really have, and let me tell you, I've lost a lot of weight as I am now gaining it all back with a good old Heineken.
What's that beer?
Yeah, while you're over here drinking tea.
I'm drinking hot tea right now. I'm drinking black tea because my wife and I are still on our diet. We've been on a diet for a month. We've been doing Whole30. So as of midnight tomorrow, I can have a drink again. I can actually have a beer with you during the show.
Guys, hear this. Okay, I went over to his place, I think a couple of days ago. I was expecting some good meal that they're going to cook from their 30 diet thing.
I hate you.
I literally get fucking burnt ass chicken looking burgers, which granted they were good. I mean, I'll be honest, they were good. But then the next day I see their Facebook post and it's like some gourmet shit. I'm over here like, you gave me fucking burgers and then the next day you make some gourmet looking stuff. I was hurt.
I grilled you burgers. I grilled you burgers. I seasoned them myself. I grilled them. They were burgers. You know they were burgers. Yet you and my dad both say they looked like friggin' chicken.
They did on the picture. Plus, you dropped like 2 of them out there, and it was fucking.
I dropped 1.
It was like 36 degrees out there too. What the fuck we were doing?
I dropped 1.
Yeah, well, I'm glad your diet's almost over, so we can drink beer and actually eat like human beings.
Yeah. All right, you watch anything good this week?
Let me think. I just finished The Highwayman.
Oh, how was that?
It's a bomb movie. Do you know what that's about?
I've never seen it.
It's primarily about it's about the story of Bonnie and Clyde and how they were fucking shit up in the South or like Midwest, I guess. And I forgot who the person is. Some lady in the government was like, "Okay, these two are like causing havoc. We need to like bring back these 2 guys that are like they're cowboys. They were like Texas Rangers." So they were the people that hunted the cowboys. You know, like Wyatt Earp from Tombstone.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty much people like him. And they're like well into their old age. They're not in their prime. And they're literally tasked to hunt down Bonnie and Clyde. And the movie is just pretty much about hunting them down.
That's pretty dope.
Kevin Costner, I think's the name. That's the actor. And
Kevin Costner is a great actor.
For real. And Woody Harrelson, who was just a giant pothead, but I still love him to death.
Also a good actor, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you see that interview where it was Chris Hemsworth's brother and Woody Harrelson? They were in an interview for like. No,
I didn't.
They were like in a interview for a Hunger Games because they're both in it.
Yeah.
And the interview was asking Chris Hemsworth's brother about Chris Hemsworth, and then Woody Harrelson was just sitting here like this. He was like, "I didn't know that was your brother, man." they fucking look the same. And his brother's over here like, "Yeah, did you not know that, man? We've talked about it like at least 8 times." And Woody Harrelson was like, "Nah, man, I really didn't know." That's hilarious. But now that you mention it, yeah, you two do look alike.
That's funny.
I was like, that man smoked so much pot, he really didn't know. Or at least if he did, he didn't remember exactly. What have you watched?
Well, dude, you have to watch WandaVision. We just watched the 4th episode tonight. The 4th episode of WandaVision is a huge direction change. And it's not even a direction change. Like you saw it coming in the episode because the first 3 episodes are kind of lighthearted. They're just fun. It's like the old like I Love Lucy, Bewitched, like all those old TV shows. But episode 4 was like, I mean, it's based more on like the main storyline of I think where it's headed, and it gets darker and it's really, really cool. Wanda, I mark my words, I really think they're doing the House of M storyline where Wanda's going to be like the bad guy and she's going to go insane. She's already like showing signs of like going crazy. Like she can't. It's like she's built up this world in her head and she's created this alternate reality, and people are starting to realize that something's wrong, and she's like shutting everybody out and like she's pissed. Like I don't want to spoil it, but I mean, somebody gets in there. Well, a couple of people get into this alternate reality world, and Wanda, she's pissed. I mean, she's showing signs of being crazy. And like this is taking more of a mental toll on her than she realizes.
I think I watched like a preview of it or like a review of it. So obviously, I mean, I got spoiled. By the way, spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. I'm gonna talk about it right now. Like apparently, like did she hijack a neighborhood? Pretty much.
Yeah, basically, yeah. If you guys don't want WandaVision spoilers, pause or fast forward a few seconds.
Not too
Um,
late.
but yeah, she basically, like I said, the first three episodes are very um how do I even say it? They're very lighthearted. They're very fun. It's just like it's seeing Wanda and Vision like getting the life they never had. But there's little hints of like something's wrong, something's messing up with this world she's created. And then we learn in the fourth episode, it's Monica Rambeau who was the little girl in Captain Marvel. She's grown up now.
Mm,
And the beginning of the episode, like Julia and I had our mouths dropped. It was so good. Do you want me to tell you?
might as well.
At the beginning of the episode, it starts out when the Hulk snaps and brings everybody back, and it's in a hospital. Monica Rambeau's in the hospital, and it's people like reappearing, like the dust and like reforming after they brought everybody back. So it starts out like during that last fight in Endgame, and it's just the whole episode was amazing. But basically, someone that Wanda befriended inside of her little world is she doesn't want her in there. And Wanda realizes that she's not really just a part of this fictional world. And Wanda kicks her out and like violently kicks her out and is angry. And it's kind of like the crazy Wanda, like we saw like at the beginning of Age of Ultron,
Hmm.
when she wasn't an Avenger and she was still like she didn't trust anybody. It was just her and her brother. It was just Strucker like messing with them and
Yeah, back
it
when she had like a thick accent. Now she talks like
I
normal.
know that's the one thing about Wanda I don't really understand is how she has that American ass accent now.
There's a I read a theory. It was saying after the events of or like during the events of Civil War, I think, or after Age of Ultron, um, Natasha pretty much taught her how to speak without an accent so she could blend in.
Mm. Yeah,
I
that's
think
true. That's fine.
that could be a possibility. I like that theory. But
Yeah.
that was it Monica Rambeau that she like threw into oblivion?
She didn't
I
throw her into oblivion. Monica Rambeau accidentally got into her world and Monica Rambeau brought up Ultron. I don't know if Monica Rambeau realized where she was. I think she was confused, but she brought up Ultron, and that was when Wanda realized she's not part of this fictional world. She's from the outside because she knows what Ultron is. So when she mentioned Ultron, of course that strikes home for her because of her brother.
yeah.
She didn't like Ultron, and she threw her out, like launched her out of this fictional world.
Monica Rambeau is like she becomes a superhero. I think
I
Photon is
think
her name.
she becomes Captain Marvel, doesn't she? In like an alternate dimension.
No, I think her like legitimate superhero name is Photon. And people are I saw a theory thinking that this this WandaVision series is going to create House of M where she
Mm-hmm.
basically, blows everything up because she pretty much created what people are saying is like the Big Bang. She has the power to
Right.
create like that Big Bang and she created this universe. And when she threw Monica Rambeau into like fucking oblivion, I guess I'll say that. Um, that much energy that she thrusted on her gives her her superpower.
Yeah.
So people are thinking that when shit hits the fan at the end of WandaVision, she throws out this another burst of energy that scours the world, creating mutants,
That would be dope.
which is where the X-Men come into play. Which I honestly like. I like that theory. I would
I
love
know.
for
I
them
think that'd
to.
be cool. That'd be awesome.
It'd be a great way to introduce the X-Men. That would be
Absolutely.
pretty dope. Yeah,
We got really sidetracked there.
we really did.
But yeah, we also watched Knives Out for the first time. I hadn't seen it when it came out in theaters.
I saw it. Uh, when did I see it? Oh, I saw it with one of my exes. at her place, and we did it in the cold. Oh my God, was that
It
a
was
challenge?
it was
It was
great. I
good. It
thought
was
it
a good
was.
movie.
There's a lot of A-list actors in there. I mean, you got Daniel Craig, Jamie Lee
Yep.
Curtis.
Yep.
Um, there's a whole bunch. I can't even think of them all right now, but it was really good. We've
It was
also continued our X-Files binge.
again.
Well, I mean, dude, the X-Files is long. I mean, there's 11 seasons plus 2 movies, and each season has like 25 episodes. It's a lot. I mean,
Yeah. See, I haven't watched the X-Files ever.
it's fantastic. It's in my top 5 TV shows. It's just a lot, but it's really good.
It sounds like Warehouse 13. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's very unique. It's its own. It it's just really good. If you like paranormal, creepy, weird stuff, like the bump in the night stuff, the X-Files is awesome.
Okay, I might check that out.
It's really good. It's on Hulu. But all right, let's hop right into it. What do you think?
Yeah, sure. Let's go for it. What's the topic today, guys?
All
I
right,
mean, Brad.
so we so we are talking the future of the movie theater, and
Mhm.
this is something I think that's been it's been on my mind for a long time throughout this whole year, and it's been on a lot of people's minds. So a couple weeks ago, I was listening to Michael Moore's podcast, which I know many people know Michael Moore is a political activist, but I mean he's a filmmaker. He's a documentary filmmaker. I think one of his documentaries, I forget which one, is the highest grossing documentary of all time. I want to say.
Michael Moore. I
Yeah.
haven't heard of that, honestly.
Yeah, he's very political. He's a political activist, but he's a filmmaker. I mean, that's what he does. And I was listening to his podcast on Spotify. It's called Rumble, and he did an episode a few weeks ago that was titled "Cinema Saves the World." And I just thought that was that kind of hit me, and that I guess inspired me to want to talk about this. Plus, it had already been weighing heavy on my mind, anyways. And you know, he Michael Moore described that they put that on his theater in Michigan. He's from Flint, Michigan, and they put that up on his. They put that up. What?
I was talking about Flint, Michigan, by the way.
Well, I mean, but that's part of what he does. He's a political activist. I mean, he
um,
advocates. He
there you go.
advocates
Yep.
for Flint and political figures and things like that. But he said before their film festival each year at his theater in Michigan, he puts up on the billboard, "Cinema Saves the World." And it stuck with me because we are living in a weird time that since COVID happened, we don't really get cinema in the sense of what it would traditionally mean to us
Yes.
because we can't go to the theater.
Yes.
And I mean, if you look at this from the time from March 13th, when everything started to shut down and the pandemic really began, I mean, the theaters started to close. The box office was losing billions of dollars
Mm-hmm.
because all of these movies basically ceased. They couldn't release them because everybody was on lockdown. Everybody was scared. And even if the theaters were open, people weren't going to go.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, even now we have a vaccine, which the vaccine still isn't widely available. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know, even if the theaters were to open completely right now. I know some of them are open. Cinemark is open. I think is AMC open? AMC or Regal? One of the two is open. I want to say AMC.
All I know is AMC is doing great right now.
Yeah, I know.
That's all I gotta
Um,
say.
but I think the biggest thing to remember when we're talking about what is the future of the movie theater is that it's a business. And
Mm-hmm.
I, Dave McRae says it best on his show. It's a business. Cinema is a business. It's about making money. They are only going to do what makes them money. It's not that they don't care about fans, but again, they don't care about just because we want to go see a movie in the theater. If it can make its money back on HBO Max, they're going to put that thing on HBO Max. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
And
I
I,
just
I I agree with that. Yeah.
and
The
obviously it sucks. It hurts because I want to go back to the movie theater. I'm actually going to go. I have been super excited. I took the day off next Friday. Sunday's my birthday, and I took the day off on Friday. We're going to go see The Little Things with Denzel Washington and Jared Leto and Rami Malek.
Yeah,
It's
that
that
sounds like an
it's like
interesting
that
movie.
crime. Yeah, we're gonna
Mhm.
go see that in the theater, and it's the first time I've been in a movie theater since we went and saw Tenet. Which did you see Tenet?
I really want to. It sounds dope, and it's a Christopher Nolan movie too. So obviously, it's
Yeah,
gonna be a lot of mind twisters.
and it
It's
is. It's a
the
weird mind twister movie. You know what I mean?
the theory behind it. That I obviously, if whenever I don't get to see the movies in theaters, I end up just watching the reviews and people talk about it, and just the way they explained it was such a mind fuck that I'm like, I got to see this just to see it
It
for myself.
it really is.
It's basically time travel, right?
Yes, but with a twist.
Yeah, exactly. It's
It's like
basically
it.
this
It
topic but
is.
twist.
Yes. Yes. So it's basically about time travel. But you know, when Tenet came out, I think that came out in what, October, August,
Yes.
October, somewhere in there,
Yes.
somewhere last fall. And I think they expected Tenet to be a godsend for the theaters and that it would bring a whole bunch of people back, but it didn't. I think Tenet kind of underperformed, and that I don't think that's the fault of the movie. I think the movie was good. We enjoyed it, and it was the
Yeah.
first time I had been in a movie theater in 8 months, so I was like, let's go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So kind of how I feel right now. I mean, I'm dying to have a large Cinemark popcorn with a large Coke right now. Dying to.
Can't wait for you to spend $50
I know.
on just popcorn and Coke.
I miss spending $50 on popcorn and Coke. But
I'm sure they do too. But I mean, with the whole movie theater things going on, I can't remember the last time I went to go see a movie. It was actually, it couldn't have been. I think it was Endgame. No,
no way. That's a year and a half ago. That was a while ago.
I'm trying to figure out what movies I've
Because
watched then.
Endgame came out in May of 19, right?
I could have sworn the last time I saw a movie was with you then, but
When
I
did
couldn't remember.
King of the Monsters came out before Endgame, right? Or after
No, it
Endgame?
came after Endgame.
Okay, well,
So
you and I went and saw that in the movie
yeah,
theater.
so it was definitely it had to been like King of the Monsters, which
Okay.
respect. But after that, I haven't been back, and because I remember I was hyped for all these other movies coming out because I want to go see them. But then when COVID hit and it started, what happened first? It started pushing movie release dates back,
Right.
and
They were
then the
just
movie theaters started shutting down.
they were delaying them,
Yeah,
but I think the problem was the studios didn't want to release them because again, it's a business. They're not going to lose all that. They're not going to lose the $100 million it took to make Wonder Woman 1984 and just you lose that and release it in the theater when nobody's going to be there
yeah.
because they're not going to make the money. They're just not. The
Mm.
theater's not going to make money. The studio's not going to make money. They're just not going to make it back. So
And
their next
also,
best thing was HBO Max.
mhm. And that's another topic that is interesting too, is whether or not are people gonna be more inclined to stay at home now to watch these movie premieres instead of going to the theaters.
And that's really the crux of the whole thing, I think, is will streaming services be the death of movie theaters? The same as Netflix and Redbox were the death of Blockbuster and the video rental stores. Now, I have my own theories, but you know, like you said, when this started in March, last March, and these films kept getting delayed, there was nothing for the theaters to show. Plus, even if they were showing movies, nobody was going to go. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Nobody was going to show up. So they kept delaying them. And then all the exhibitors, Cinemark, AMC, Regal, what's another movie chain? I don't even, they're
I
the
mean,
three
those are
we
the
have.
ones,
They're the
the
three,
three
I
big
think they're
ones.
the big three. But, you know, they had no income. All their stocks were falling. You know, it was, I think I read somewhere that it was down like 35%
Mm-hmm.
for Cinemark, like by the end of March of last year. I mean, it was like
Yeah.
that little like short span of like 2 weeks when they declared it a pandemic. to then, the movie theaters were tanking, which goes to show you how much fucking revenue they bring in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Because like, I mean, obviously, millions of people obviously come to the movie theaters, and every single blockbuster generates like billions of dollars,
Yeah.
and even the ones that bomb, they still bring in millions.
Yeah.
And so like when the movie theaters started closing, I think they obviously they were not prepared for it. As for anyone else, no one was really prepared for this pandemic, but it really hit the movie theaters hard because that's what they relied on, was viewers.
Mhm.
So whenever they started losing all this revenue, I mean, they didn't know what to do. So I mean, they just sat there and just took the brunt of it. They just lost all this money. Now they came out with a good idea, which I think is brilliant, but I mean, it's also expensive. You can rent out
I
a
know.
movie theater, which
It's a
I think
cool
is dope.
idea, but it's a lot of money though.
A lot of money, which, people like us, I mean, people that, live paycheck to paycheck,
Yeah.
we can't really afford that.
Right.
But I've seen people like literally rent the place out just so they could play Mario Kart. I have
Yeah.
friends that did that, and I'm like, didn't get an invite, but okay, whatever. That sounds fun though. Would love to try that.
Dude,
But
I said this from the time this started, when the news started to hit the fan about movie theaters and the fact that we knew there was an issue. We knew they weren't opening anytime soon. And I'm not talking right now. This idea wouldn't work right now because we're starting to function again. When you drive by a mall, the parking lot isn't empty anymore. There was a point in March, April, May, June, the parking lots were empty. Nobody was going anywhere. Everybody was staying home. I swear, I wish these big theater chains, Cinemark, AMC, they should have put a screen in the parking lot
drive-ins,
and did a drive-in style theater. They could have been making their revenue. Now, again, it's a different experience. You can't charge the same amount you would charge for a movie ticket, but they could find a way to make their popcorn outside. You drive up, they have local people from around town as vendors for food. You get some food. That way the local vendors, local restaurants are making their money, the big theater chains making their money, and we still get to see the movies on the big screen. I wish they would have thought of that and done that from day one. And I mean, obviously, yes, it would have been an investment. They would have had to invest in the screen and
and
stuff.
logistically speaking, it probably wouldn't work because obviously, here at the Richmond Cinemark, that's impossible to do. You know what I
Why?
mean?
They have enough parking lot for that.
I mean, because each Richmond Cinemark owns that part of the mall. Everyone else is either
Yeah, I
use
mean
that
that's
space
true.
for their own revenue, and if Richmond Cinemark decided to use that spot, it would cost another business money, and people don't want to step on each other's toes. Which is also I wanted to talk about was the comeback of drive-in movie theaters, because
Yes.
uh, whenever the Cinemark started closing down, all of these drive-in movie theaters started coming back. And don't get me wrong, I went to the drive-in. I think I think around in the summer. That was the first time I went back to a drive-in in like fucking years.
I know, me
And
too.
even back then, I didn't really go to the drive-in. I lived in an area where like I could literally just look out my back window and I could just see the movie. I can't hear it,
Yeah.
but like they'll be playing Shrek. I know Shrek, all the lines from Shrek like the back of my hand. So I just pretty much know what they're talking about, and
Yeah.
I just sit there and watch it. That was my like experience in the drive-in. But when I went to a legitimate drive-in, it was a pretty great experience. I actually liked it better than the Cinemark. That's a hot topic, but
Yeah, that's a hot take, but I mean, I obviously for me being in a theater, you can't beat it. It is like my favorite thing to do. But,
mm,
you know, I mean, we went to the drive-in 3 or 4 times. It's funny, we saw horror movies. We saw Halloween there. We watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Scream was playing. A Nightmare on Elm Street was playing, and we went, and it's just a good time. Like it's just fun. We saw something else there too.
I
Or
saw Footloose, which was honestly it took me back to the 80s. I like whenever I went down there to see it, I was like, man, like I feel like I'm in the 80s right now. Like I need to wear some Converse, cropped up jeans, and just a tight medium shirt. That's all I need right now, and I'm back in the 80s.
yeah,
But I mean, w- with the whole drive-in movie theaters, I knew that was gonna come back because people were talking about it, but I haven't heard much news about it after that. It was like a solid couple of months,
well,
like in the summer, obviously because of winter. Okay, yeah, I
yeah,
get it. But it was like a couple of months in the summer, and there's clearly plenty of more time to for them to keep going. But then they just kind of like died off. I haven't heard anything about going to the movie theater to the drive-ins. So I don't know.
yeah,
It's just a fact. COVID affected the drive-ins too because people really didn't want to be outside.
yeah. And honestly,
So
I mean, I think we will hear more about drive-ins, especially when it gets warmer. I think
mm,
they'll come back. I and I think I'm hoping, I'm very hopeful that movie theaters will swing up again and
I'm
that they'll come back.
I'm sure they will. I think, which again we're going to talk about. I'm bringing up Godzilla vs Kong because I know that's going to bring people back.
Yeah.
Because
And I think that was a really smart move. And to be completely honest, I truly believe Warner Brothers did that on purpose because they know they need to get people back. And it's smart on their part. Because here's the deal, Warner Brothers is thinking if they can get people, if they can fill up the theater for Godzilla versus Kong, they're going to say, man, that movie was fucking awesome. They're going to go tell all their friends. They're going to go
mhm,
tell all their family, and everybody's going to go see Godzilla versus Kong. And that crowd going back to the movie theater is going to pave the way for people to feel comfortable about going back to the theater. So
yeah,
then all of these other Warner Brothers pictures that are coming out in the movie theater down the road for the rest of this year, they're going to go see them in the movie theater and they're going to pick up the additional revenue from HBO Max. Because, I mean, obviously, I, I don't think that their revenue from HBO Max is going to be near what they'll make box office wise.
no,
Do
well,
you?
it's based on I don't know how HBO Max is doing it.
I think they're getting
Is
a
it
cut of everybody's subscriptions.
I was gonna say that like does it come with the subscription or do they need to buy the movie or rent
No,
it?
it comes with it. Like when we watched Wonder Woman 84, it was just on there.
Okay, then cool. Then yeah, maybe they get a percentage of
And that's what that would be my guess.
yeah. So I
But
mean, it's still they're still gonna make a ton of money because more people are gonna want to subscribe to HBO Max.
right.
So HBO Max is gonna get a lot more traffic, and then they're gonna obviously Warner Bros is gonna get a little bit of revenue from them. But
Yeah.
when it comes to the movie theaters, it's interesting to know that it's pretty funny or ironic to know that the first big blockbuster that's coming out when the movie theaters are just now opening up is Godzilla versus Kong, and it makes sense because back I think it was 1963 or two when when King Kong versus Godzilla came out. I mean, that was a blockbuster at the time
Right.
because Godzilla was famous and King Kong was famous in the States. So
Mm-hmm.
obviously, when they found out they were clashing together, a lot of people wanted to go see it. So
Absolutely.
I think I'm positive to say King Kong versus Godzilla in 1963 or two had the most revenue of all time in
Mm.
Godzilla movies.
Wow.
Yeah, everything else kind of just did okay, but that one had the most revenue in the franchise. So now that in our generation, you know what I mean,
Mm-hmm.
with our generation, we're gonna see it again, and I think it's gonna generate the same amount of hype
Yeah.
because I mean, I'll be honest, guys, I'm on TikTok by the way, but I'm on TikTok a
That
lot,
shameless
so
plug.
but I don't post anything, but whenever I'm on TikTok now, like my For You page has everything to do with Godzilla vs Kong. Like they are hyping the movie up a lot because it's the first big blockbuster movie, so to speak, that's coming out when these movie theaters are starting to open back up. So a lot more traffic are going to be coming to the movie theaters because not only they miss the movie theaters, but because this big blockbuster that's been around or for generations pretty much
Right.
is coming back for our generation. And I think it's dope to know that because it's just interesting to see how it's all playing out when you delve more deeper into it, because it's all gonna come out, with lots of growth. So I'm excited to see how Godzilla versus Kong does and how the movie theaters do too, just because Warner Bros. Decided to take that risk. And did you hear that they pushed it back too?
By like
I
4 or 5 days or something.
yeah,
I don't know
I
why.
I really don't know what their goal is for that. At first I was
Unless, let's see. Keep going. I'm gonna look something up.
unless unless they're buffering more time for people to get the COVID vaccine, which doesn't make sense to me now that I say it out loud. Sorry guys. But I mean, I don't know what their reasoning was behind that. But
Weird.
nevertheless, it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out, because
I
I'm
was
almost certain
I
it's
was thinking maybe they were going to push it to a weekend, but originally when it was coming out on the 26th of March, it was on a Friday. Now it's coming out on a Wednesday. So I don't
ill.
really know. I don't know. That's a weird one.
That's an interesting plan.
But I mean, I think it's not a small thing to say that not only for Warner Brothers and for the MonsterVerse and for Legendary, but there is a lot riding on Godzilla versus Kong for the film industry. I mean, the entire industry. There's a lot riding on it because if Godzilla versus Kong hits theaters and nobody goes to see it, which again, I don't think that's going to happen.
It's like,
I think people are going to want to go to see it,
yeah,
but
for sure. But I think it's like 60-40 that people are going to want to go see it.
right.
You know what I mean?
You know,
But I know what
if
you're
it
going to say right now.
tanks, these studios are going to be like, oh hell with that. We're not putting it in the theater. It's going to go to streaming. But if Godzilla
Mhm.
versus Kong goes to the theater and it destroys the box office because people are ready to go back, people want to go back, people want to see it in the theater, they want that theater experience. These other studios are going to be like, holy shit, put it in the theater. Put it in the theater.
Yeah,
Put it in.
yeah.
And they're still going to leave it on HBO Max because if it does incredibly well in the theater and it's on HBO Max, they're just going to make more money, which
Mhm.
again, that's what this whole thing is about anyways. It's kind of sad when you think about it, but like everything revolves around money. You know what I mean?
Oh, there's nothing sad about that. That's just the way this world works, especially
It
here in this
really
country.
is,
I'm
especially
full
with the
all for
stock
it.
market stuff. You wanted to bring that up. Miguel's going to bring up the stock market thing. It is. I am not up to date with my stock market
No, okay, listen.
info.
I am by no means am I into the stock market either, okay? I just was paying attention to what's going on. And obviously you guys know that, all these movie theaters have like been suffering a lot with the COVID pandemic. So AMC, one of the stocks that's currently on topic right now, it tanked really bad. And it's, I don't know, it's something to do with hedge fund managers. They were betting down on all these stocks like GameStop, AMC, Nokia, and like all of a sudden, like, I don't know, these people our generation on Reddit were like, hey, we got a good idea. We finally know how to do this. So we're just gonna buy all of these shares and just fuck over these hedge fund managers.
It
So
was
now,
basically in the eyes of the stock market and in the eyes of Wall Street, they were like worthless stocks, right?
yeah, they were just worthless. They were just gonna let it fall, let it tank and everything. But then, like our generation, I mean, we love um
Pop culture.
AMC. And
It's
yeah,
all
we love
pop
pop
culture
culture.
stuff.
Yeah. Like let me tell you, Build-A-Bear went up, AMC went up, GameStop, Blockbuster Video went up. Let me
It's
tell
like the
you.
most random shit. But then again, it's not the most random shit because again, it's pop culture stuff. It's that generation. It's people who grew up in the 80s and 90s and
Mhm.
2000s that are making that happen.
Pretty much, because they miss having these things, and with the pandemic, it made it worse. Obviously, Blockbuster was just a lost cause, but I mean, it was just a nostalgic feeling. And now, like all these Wall Street guys, they're freaking out. I remember I have a share in AMC now. I'm just letting you guys know. I bought like 20 shares, and
Miguel's trying to bring
I
back
bought
the
it like
theater, man.
after.
He's ready.
Yeah, I'm all for it because obviously, like AMC was without a doubt going bankrupt, and I think this
They had
is just
declared bankruptcy.
yeah. I think that this is just another example of power to the fans. You know what I mean? Just with the exactly with the Snyder cut too. Like all these people were in uproar, so they spoke out their reasoning, and guess what? We got the Snyder cut. Now, AMC was at bankruptcy, and the fans of movie theaters were like, "No, we're going to save this. Like we want this to stay." So then
I
they bought all
think
these shares.
I think the thing with the Snyder Cut's a little bit different though, because I mean, let's be real. Warner Brothers knew that if they released the Snyder Cut, they were gonna make that money back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
But I'm not,
you
again,
know
I'm
what I
not
mean, though,
saying that
right?
the yes, I'm not saying that the fans being in their outcry didn't force their hand. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I don't. I mean, I don't. You or my brother might be able to put this into better perspective for me, but you know, AMC's stock has gone up, and they were in bankruptcy. Does the fact that their stock is going up and that all these people are buying shares now, is that helping the company?
Fuck yes.
So it is.
It's gonna help them. It should,
Okay,
I think, because I mean, if your stocks go up, it means that they're getting a lot. They're generating a lot more investments.
right,
So that means
and
they're gonna be able to
that's
do
what I
more stuff.
figured. I mean, to be completely honest, it, I sound like I'm being like screw the rich, which I mean, hell, I am. But if if it helps the theater, I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to invest. I'm not that kind of person. I need my cash.
Hey man,
I need to pay bills. But
I had $100 just to drop, so I was like, hey, might as well. I just threw in $100 and I said, let me just save this AMC
yeah,
real quick. Join the revolution. There was a funny thing. I saw a meme. It said it was basically Reddit talking to Parlor, and it was like, see, that's how you start a revolution, my guy. I think that's freaking hilarious.
that
Parler
is
tried
funny.
his hardest to be like some big revolution thing. Now it's shut down, and Reddit is over here actually fucking over the stock market. Like, yep, Reddit's king, buddy. Reddit is king.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Well,
yeah,
it's funny that you had mentioned Blockbuster because I think the real crux of this entire conversation about the movie theaters and whether they're going to survive or not, you kind of have to look at the past and learn from that. I mean, if you look at Blockbuster, again, 80s, 90s, 2000 kids, if you were born in one of those 3 decades, Blockbuster was a big part of your childhood. Let's be completely
absolutely.
honest. I
Did you
mean,
know?
there was,
Fun fact. I Blockbuster. That was the first place I pre-ordered a movie. Do you know what movie that was?
Godzilla versus, or King Kong versus Godzilla.
No, it was Iron Man.
Really?
Yeah, that was the first movie I
Ooh, I didn't
ever
know that.
pre-ordered. And I mean, obviously, I didn't know it was going to become this big sensation, but
Right.
it's interesting to know because I still have the copy at my office. Not my like the other room is my
Yeah,
office. Okay, but yeah, I have my first pre-ordered copy of Iron Man.
that's dope.
Yeah, so obviously, Blockbuster is like it has a close spot in my heart.
Yeah.
As
I
for
mean,
everyone else,
it does for everybody. You know, like Blockbuster opened in 1985. It was incredibly successful for a very long time. Um, Viacom, which you remember Viacom, they have their hand in a whole bunch of different things. I think they were in VHS tapes and stuff at one point, but Viacom bought Blockbuster for $8.4 billion at one point. And you got to remember, this is in the 90s. So $8.4 billion was a big deal 20 years ago. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So they bought that. And it's funny because Viacom bought Blockbuster thinking, hell, Blockbuster is going to be our big revenue maker. Blockbuster is hot right now. It is going. And then 2010, I may have misspoken. I think they bought it in the early 2000s,
okay,
not the 90s. But Viacom bought Blockbuster because they wanted to use Blockbuster's revenue to buy Paramount Pictures.
that didn't work, did it?
But here was the problem. And this is the comparison between streaming services and, well, streaming services, basically, but not in the same way. Now we're in this online space. Everything is online. Everything is, you stream it from your TV or your PlayStation or your Xbox. There were two things that happened in 2008, 9, and 10. that killed Blockbuster, and that was Netflix and that was Redbox.
Well, did you know like Netflix didn't start out as a streaming service?
Right. And well, it technically it was, well, not really because it wasn't streaming. It wasn't streaming in the same sense that we know it as. It was the mail order, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You make your online account, you order your movies online, and then they're shipped to you. So yeah, it was different, but it was still more convenient than having to drive to Blockbuster and then pick out your movie and then take it back. And then they, of course, Blockbuster was always big about the late fees, which I know eventually. Do you remember when Blockbuster canceled all their late fees? They said they
It
weren't doing late fees anymore.
it led to their downfall because
It
people
did.
were not paying their late fees. Because I mean, no one. I mean, honestly, I remember. Fuck, we had like $50 of late fees
Well,
at
yeah.
Blockbuster, and the cashier was like, "You know what? Just go ahead. No one
Well,
cares."
and that's the problem, though. That I think that was you're exactly right. That's part of where Blockbuster's downfall was that they were trying to compete, and I get it. They thought they were doing the right thing. They were tanking. They were trying to keep up with the times, but obviously Redbox and Netflix were killing it
Yep.
because it was so convenient. And that's where I think the streaming services fall with movie theaters, especially right now during Karubadaba times, because
Sorry, you guys probably didn't see my face just lose it there. I was like, "What? What do
that
you say?"
during these Corona times, I said Karubadaba.
You said corrupted. Okay, yabba dabba
but
doo, I guess.
but especially during these times with having to stay at home and stuff, it's convenience. It comes down to convenience.
Mm-hmm.
And people didn't want to go to Blockbuster. So they were already losing their sales. And then if you check it, I mean, if you take away the late fees, which if you're having in-person rentals, you kind of can't do that without late fees. I mean, you can't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes
And that's
sense
what's hard.
because they had limited copies. So like I remember
Right.
I would tell me and my dad would be like, "Yeah, we're gonna go watch this movie. It'll be dope." And then we show up and it's
They
not
wouldn't
there.
have it.
Yeah,
That was the worst. When you're walking down and you're like, I'm ready. I know what movie I want.
I
And then
got it.
you find the little tag on the bottom and you're like, shit. And
Yep,
it's not there.
yep, exactly. And it'd be like, "Yo, so where is this?" And I was like, "Oh, someone has it. They rented it on
It's rented
Friday, and
already.
it won't come back till Sunday." I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Can you not just call them? Call them and tell me I want it more." But yeah, I know that the whole that Blockbuster was just it was great for his time, but when you think about it now, going through it, it sounds too much of a hassle. And you know, there's still one Blockbuster like still running
Yeah,
around,
there's a
right?
documentary about it.
Yeah, like, and that's cool. But the only reason why it's still there is because it has a nostalgic feel.
Yeah,
If that was common still, it wouldn't survive
right.
compared to everything else
Well,
now.
and I think part of the other problem was that Netflix, even though it's not the traditional Netflix we have now, where it's an app, Netflix was subscription based versus Blockbuster, which is, you go rent 5 movies, you pay for each movie. Netflix, you pay for your subscription. You could rent 20 movies if you wanted to.
Hmm.
It's included in your subscription. So people were getting more through Netflix than they were getting through Blockbuster. So there were a whole lot of things that contributed to their downfall. I think Dish Network owns Blockbuster now. I don't even know why. They have I think there's a Blockbuster app on Dish, like on their on-demand thing, but it's not I don't even know why. I don't know what the point is.
Who even uses
So
Dish anyways?
I don't know. I'm you know I have no idea where they're going with that. But I
Dish
mean,
Dish is literally a cable provider that my abuelita uses in like fucking like in the fucking boonies. Because Dish they have like Dish Latino and like it's like my aunt's favorite thing. Like, okay, no one really uses Dish, so obviously no one's gonna use that Blockbuster app.
yeah.
But nevertheless, whenever I keep thinking of the whole streaming service now because before it was just that it was just you stream these movies and the way it would go was the movie theaters would come out, then it would go on DVD,
Hmm.
and then it would go on streaming, and then it would hit TV. You know what I mean?
Right.
There was a process that these movies would take till it got to the streaming service. Now,
Absolutely.
with with the steps they took for Wonder Woman, it just went straight to streaming. And usually, if a blockbuster movie just went straight to streaming, it meant that that movie wasn't going to succeed. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
You know how like when a movie's made and it just goes straight to DVD, it doesn't even
Yeah.
hit the theaters. It's because the movie wasn't that good. Now it's hitting the streaming service and it's generating this much revenue and it's still getting all of these great ratings. I think Netflix was the one that really did that first, was because when Netflix got they started investing in making their own movies,
Yeah.
and a lot of people were thinking, oh, they're probably not going to be good. I think the first movie was Bright. Have you seen Bright with like Will Smith?
I didn't see it, but I know what it
It's
is.
it's a kooky movie. It's a really fantasy-ish kind of movie, but it's actually really dope. And it was a great step forward into like,
Yeah.
Netflix creating their own original movies. And I think
Absolutely.
that paved the way for, I think, which is possibly going to be the downfall of movie theaters, is the fact that these streaming service can make the movies itself. They can invest the money to make these movies.
Right.
And hopefully that's not the case, because the experience itself, which again, we're talking about the experience, but we're saying that for Blockbuster too, and look what happened. Like, we love that experience of going
Right.
out, renting movies, doing that whole shebang, but it all came down to conveniency.
Hmm.
And if it's more convenient to just stay home and watch these movie theaters, it doesn't matter. Oh, the experience of going to an IMAX theater, like it's gonna end up being like the time of the past, which is sad, because don't get me wrong, the two of us here, like, we both love the movie theaters, we love going to them, but I think as a society as a whole, we all just want conveniency, what's easiest for us, and what's not gonna be hard for us later on. So I think whenever I keep thinking about these the future of these movie theaters, I worry that, in the near future we might see some movie theaters start closing down,
Right.
and it'll start
And
becoming a luxury kind of thing.
I think we will see some close. I think that's inevitable because the pandemic has been really hard. But why do we bring up Blockbuster? Why do we bring up Family Video? Family Video just went out of business like a few weeks ago. They announced they were closing all their stores. They've managed to stay open. I don't know how. I think they switched more to buying Blu-rays and DVDs instead of renting, which
Mhm.
I can see how that's a little bit better. But, we say that because Netflix, even if it was this older version of Netflix rendered Blockbuster useless. The services they provided were, like you said, it wasn't convenient, therefore it was no longer necessary. So I think the question here is, will streaming services render movie theaters obsolete? Will they make their services useless? For me, I don't think so. And I think that goes back to you talking about the experience of it.
Mhm.
Yes, there was an experience of walking in Blockbuster, but the actual experience of watching the movie wasn't any different because you're still going home to watch it on your computer. Or I'm sorry, not on your computer, on your TV. I'm looking at a computer. That's why that's why that word came out.
No, he guys, he bootlegs movies on
I do.
Pirate Bay.
No, I don't.
His computer literally has a shit ton of viruses,
I
and
don't. Do you see this behind me? I
he's using
collect.
he's
I
using
like
his wife's
collecting my
laptop, so
movies.
obviously has a lot of viruses. Just saying, bootlegger. Anyway,
Pirate.
yeah,
Arr. But
but I do see what you're saying.
and that's the question. I think for me, there's nothing like, and it trumps Blockbuster for me. There's nothing like walking into a Cinemark, buying a large popcorn, smelling that in the air, buying a large Coke. You get your ticket, you go find your seat. It's a huge screen with surround sound. I mean, there's nothing like going there to watch it. You know
Hmm.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's the one thing that the streaming services can't have, is even if they put all their movies on there, you're still watching it at home. I mean, I don't think anybody's got a 20-foot screen. You know what I mean? They're watching on their 60-inch TV, and that's fine. I mean, we
Hmm.
watched Wonder Woman 84 on our TV, and it was fine. But a movie like Godzilla versus Kong, I want to see Kong slug him with surround sound and up on that huge screen. When Halloween Kills comes out, I want to see Michael walk out of that burning house, which you have no idea what I'm talking about, because we need to catch you up on Halloween, and trust me, that's coming. But I want to see him walk out of that house in on a huge screen, maybe
Mm-hmm.
even on an IMAX screen. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? When you go to a movie theater, you're paying for the experience. You're paying to go with your friends. You're paying for the snacks. You're paying for the big screen. All of those things wrapped into one. That's what you're paying for. You're not just paying to go see the movie. It's a whole experience. And I mean, I'm hoping that when Godzilla versus Kong comes out, people flock to the movie theater safely. Obviously, wear your masks. But I mean, like, I hope people go and I hope they see it and I hope it revitalizes this a little bit because I think it is important. I mean, if people are going to restaurants, let's be real. I see people walking around, and I mean, you know me, I'm all for wear your mask, get your vaccine, do whatever you got to do. But I mean, the restaurants are packed, grocery stores are packed. I mean, if we can do all of that, you can go see a movie. And here's the thing: is like Cinemark, they've made it where you it's not they're not going to fill up every seat. I mean, when we went and saw Tenet, it was clean. They were changing their gloves. Everything was wiped down. They were clean. I mean, there were employees just walking around cleaning everything, cleaning door handles, cleaning the bathrooms. When we got our popcorn and our snacks, they did it all at the same counter. The guy changed his gloves from when he touched the money to when he touched our food, and then they wiped down the counter for the next people. I mean, it was done really well. And I think there is a way that we can go see movies safely without having to just rely on streaming services. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I I do agree with that, and I'm sure. I don't think the movie theaters are gonna. I don't think they're all gonna shut down. You know what I think could happen? I think they could end up being kind of similar to the way musicals are and operas. You know what I mean? Like that used to be the
Mm,
big time thing. Like everyone would go there Friday night and watch the opera
like it was a
and
big
the
deal. It
musical.
wasn't
Yeah,
casual.
but now that's become like a high class thing because it's
Right.
so scarce and not many people do it. And obviously it didn't die out because people want that experience. Because when Hamilton came out, I remember I saw Hamilton in my room. That was the first time I saw Hamilton, and it was a great musical. But I'm sure it would have been far more um, enjoyable if I saw it live. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, how am I going to connect this? I think movie theaters are still going to be around, but it's going to be a lot more scarce and a lot more expensive because it is scarce. Because the
Mm,
whole bullshit supply and demand thing. But I don't think it's gonna be such a casual Friday thing anymore now that just with this whole streaming service stuff.
I got
And
you.
that's disappointing to see because, you know, the two of us, we grew up in the age of, I think, in a prime age of movie theaters.
Mm,
And it's gonna be sad to see it, dwindle down, but I think it's inevitable because the way the streaming service are now picking up so much momentum and generating all of these deals with these studios and just having it streamed.
yeah.
So like, yeah, I don't think they're gonna die off. I know they're gonna get a little bit more scarce as time moves past. By the time, listen, by the time
He's
we
on his
have
soapbox.
kids,
Here we go.
yeah, by the time
He's
we have
preaching to
kids,
us now.
by the time we have kids and they're old enough, to go see to like, go out and see movies and stuff and they know what the fuck they're watching. We're not going to be going to the movie theaters. We're going to be streaming it. And going to movie theaters is going to become like a high class kind of thing. Like it's not going to be like, $11 a ticket. It's going to be like $40 a ticket, same as it is for the musicals and the operas. I think that's probably I could see that happening uh I could see that happening pretty much coming in the near future whenever, we end up having kids, 20 years down the line. No, I'm kidding. But I could see that happening in the near future. And
Yeah.
it'll be sad to see it happen like that. But I think it just what happens as the years goes by and as we grow older. It's going to be different. By the time we have kids, the experience of watching movies is going to be really different. And yeah, that's pretty much my 2 cents on it.
You and I actually like kind of disagree pretty like
Yeah,
heartily on this one.
yeah, we
I
disagree
because
on that.
I mean I really think they're gonna bounce back, and I think once people are comfortable enough doing it, people are gonna want to go. People want to go on dates at a movie theater. People want to go eat
Bro,
popcorn. They
yeah,
want to be there.
in middle school, like if you ask a girl out on a date, it's gonna go to the movie theaters.
Hell,
Like
if I
that
I mean
was
I'm
the
married,
thing.
but I want to take her to the movie theaters now. I mean like I want to go. We're going next Friday, and I'm pumped.
Hmm. But you know what I mean, like that was like the core place for art whenever we were that age.
Right.
And now that we've gotten older and most of the things are on streaming services, it's going to become more scarce to go.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to want to go to movie. I used to want to go to movie. Our thing here in good old Richmond, Kentucky, was meet up at the movie theaters, watch a movie, and then walk literally half a mile down the fucking block, and you go to Hastings. Do you guys remember Hastings?
Well,
I didn't think so. No, I'm kidding.
rip.
Hastings died out too because I mean everything because pretty much because of Amazon and all these other like online stores.
Right.
Because these things went online, they became convenient for you. The experience factor just goes out the window. I
Hmm.
think convenience triumphs trumps uh the experience, and that's a sad reality to think about, but it's just the way it is now. Everyone wants convenience, and they could care less about um the experience. Some people do. Obviously you care about the experience. I
I
do
do.
too.
I
I
really
personally,
do.
I love going to movie theaters too, but I understand why there's a good chance it could die out. And I don't think it's going to die out soon. Like, obviously, when these movie theaters start opening back up, people are going to want to start going, but then they're going to catch on saying, I'm spending all this money going to go watch a movie when I could just buy a subscription and watch it at home, where I can
Yep.
actually cook dinner and not have to pay $40 for popcorn. So it's, yeah, we pretty much disagree. I'm not going to lie.
We
I
do.
agree with you on the sense that it will shoot up, but I think progressively as time goes by, it will die out,
Yeah.
which is
So
sad. Don't get me wrong. I will be sad to see this all go, but I'm pretty confident that that's the future that we're entering in because of this COVID pandemic. I'm not kidding. If we didn't have this pandemic, we wouldn't be having this conversation. You know what I mean?
right. I
Like,
mean I agree with that. I think if it I again I still don't think it will, but if it does, COVID was the nail in the coffin.
COVID was
So
going to be, I think COVID is the domino that fell that's going to create
right.
this ripple effect or domino effect. I don't know why I said that, but
I know what you mean.
yeah, I think this COVID pandemic is going to start the downfall of movie theaters, mainly because of streaming services. Which, guys, I am not talking bad about streaming service. I love streaming service. I love Netflix. I love HBO Max.
Hmm.
They all present good. I mean, they're great. They're awesome. I fucking love them. I have like I have my budget. My monthly budget is like $50 worth of subscriptions to different streaming services. Just letting you guys know. So I do like streaming service, but I'm almost certain that they're gonna be the other domino that falls the movie theaters, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. I can see a tear running down your face.
There is. There are multiple tears. My eyes are welling up. But
But
alrighty, guys, we would love to hear from you. That is going to do it for us today for episode 7 of Let's Talk Movies. Please, if you're watching on YouTube, leave us a comment. Let us know, what do you think is going to happen to the movie theaters in the future. Please tweet at us. Find us on Instagram at We Talk the Movies. We would love to hear what you guys have to say. Please, please, please tweet at us and leave us a comment. We will talk to you guys soon. New episodes drop every Monday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And until then, we will talk to you guys soon. Peace.